Let's get this party started. So everything that you've heard of about ethical and careful use of AI, you can now forget. Because this is the part of the use of AI that's really out of the box. So I'm going to talk to you about how I've been playing around with an AI influencer. Yeah. And the reason for this has been to address issues with student engagement and getting the students to log on to stuff and click on stuff and so on. All right, so enough with the silly stuff. So that's ALSI. Now, the people who are watching us online, you're going to get a QR code on the next screen so you can watch this video at home on a loop as much as you want. Now, what's going on here? We have a difficulty getting our students to click on stuff. And sometimes we got difficulty getting our students to turn up for our classes. And we definitely have got issues with them watching stuff that we put on our virtual learning environment. I've detected two reasons for this problem. One is platform. Second is who is delivering this message. The students are not on Moodle. Hands up, who's using Moodle? I'm sorry for your troubles. Who's using Blackboard? Okay. Canva? Canvas? Okay, Canvas is. Right, so no matter what you use, students are not going to go on it. And once they're on it, they're unlikely to click on anything. Because no matter how good it is, I'm not thinking Moodle here, I'm thinking the rest of them. No matter how good or bad it is not Instagram or Snapchat or YouTube Shorts or TikTok. Yeah, anybody got teenagers? My commiserations. I suffer from the same problem. So they are used to a different experience. They've got the phone in their hands, they're scrolling through things, and the things that they see are on a spec that we cannot hope to achieve with university-produced resource. So, problem one, platform. Problem two, who's delivering this content? Most of the time, when it's me, I'm gonna watch it. Now, why is this? There's a generational thing, there's a packaging thing, all sorts of stuff. I put detailed information about everything that my students need to know on the relevant pages on my Blackboard site. Does anybody ever click on this? No. You know what they do? They ask each other on Instagram. So if you find one of their mates that's doing the course, or if you sort of do the search thing, who's doing that course in that uni, you're going to find some people who are on it. And then look at the comments. That's your challenge. Go look at the comments from people who are on your course. They ask each other, when's the class? What's the exam like? Is this good? Should I take it? Are the markers easy or not? They will get that information from each other or even random people. So they prefer to get this information from somebody doing makeup while talking about their course rather than the person who teaches the course and designs the assessment. So I know it's depressing, but that's life, okay? So the one potential, probably many things we can do, but I just tried them all and I failed. So I thought, let's think out the box here. So one of the possible solutions was to invade their space. And not only am I invading their space, I'm pretending to be them. And my vehicle for doing this is ALSI. So if you scan the QR code on the screen, you're going to get ALSI's YouTube page. She's also on TikTok and Instagram and all the rest of them. And you're going to watch all the stuff that she does. The people at home can watch the video that I just played in case it's not visible. Or you can just go to @ALSI Law on YouTube and you'll who am I, by the way? You're going to have the chance to see that QR code at the end of the presentation as well. I'm just like a random dude who's very frustrated. Yes. Because I teach in a variety of places at Westminster down the road. I also teach for the University of London and the Open University. I'm external in a bunch of places and I run my own consultancy firm. And I'm facing the same problems all over the place. Right? So I thought I will try and do something different. So my mission is to discover something that actually works and helps us solve the problems that we've got with student engagement. Now, I've already explained what the problem is and the difficulties we've got. I think it is very important to get to a point that we find a way to communicate with our students, and we find a way to address this problem and this inability that we have to talk to them. How many of you offer pre-recorded or recorded content on your virtual learning environments, like Panopto captures and so on? Do you check the statistics on whether anybody's using that content? Okay. Does anybody use that content? Sometimes, most of the time, not. So we build our virtual learning environments. We pay a lot of money for those virtual learning environments. We fill them with content. Most of the time, text content, which is a little bit difficult to navigate, or very poor quality audiovisual content that really does not match what people have by choice. And then we contribute to creating this divide. We're on a platform that's not native. It's a platform that people need to log on and they need to click multiple times before they get to the resource that they have to use. And when they manage to get to the resource, the quality of that content is not particularly good. So this is the idea. How about we meet the students where they're at already? So I thought of taking the existing content, packaging it in a radically different way, and then delivering this to the students in this environment that they're really used to. But I needed a vehicle for this because it couldn't be me. Why not? I tried it for like 3 years and nobody clicked on the stuff. Yeah. So no matter what improvements I made on the audiovisuals, I was keeping good track of statistics of usage on the stuff that I was putting on the VLE, testing it against similar content on social media, just to check what improvement do they need to see in order to make this a usable resource. I still wasn't getting any valuable use out of it. So I thought, okay, then the problem is, if the problem isn't the content, then the problem is me. So let's do something else. Hence, Alcy. Alcy looks great. You know where I got the picture from? It's me. It's the daughter my mom never had. Magic of AI has transformed this dude into this good-looking woman there. So I created a persona, a 20-year-old final year student in London that has a life and a backstory, that speaks in a London Gen Z accent, and is your law school buddy that will help you navigate various things. And I am not pretending that she's real. It is noted everywhere that this is an artificial digital persona. This is not a new idea. You guys have all seen all the hoo-ha in the media about artificial AI influencers and how they're beginning to dominate, and all these kind of girls doing duck faces in the kind of hotels in Dubai and all the rest of it. Yeah. So this is quite common. However, nobody tried it in the university domain. So I have this distinction that I've created the first, possibly the last, AI law student influencer. So I thought, there's an idea. Why should I wait for somebody else to do it? I will do it myself. So Alcy is meant to do this. She's meant to be your law school buddy. She will tell you that she's not the real, and she will try and deliver useful content. This is not a completely random idea. We have a great deal of literature on peer-assisted learning. The difference here is that the peer is not within an institutional boundary. The peer is on social media. But we do understand, and we do know, and we do have literature on the fact that fellow students, peers, can help support learning in efficient ways. There's a lot of pedagogy around multimodal learning and trying to kind of mix the formats that you're using to communicate with the audience into past educational material. And there's also good literature on suggesting how a generational gap can inhibit learning and how the difficulty of the professors to communicate with the students in ways that the students understand is a problem. So there are cultural divides, but there are also age divides and generational divides that are very important. Nobody gets my jokes that reference, the Spice Girls or Friends or any of that stuff. Well, yeah, you guys get it. But the kids don't get it. They've got no clue what I'm talking about. We're talking about the financial crisis as if it happened to us yesterday. The kids weren't born then. Our undergraduate students are our undergraduate students hardly remember the pandemic. They just remember like the last year of school being a bit weird. But after that, they don't remember. So we're having these issues. So this is evidence-based. It's just done in a slightly different way. So how does ALSI work on the inside? This is not a live experience. This is all scripted. Last year at this conference, I presented about avatars that were live. So how you could leverage this technology in real-time communication, in audio and video. This isn't what this is about. The technology isn't quite there yet to ensure a good enough product for live interaction. So this is all scripted, but it is video. It's not pure pictures. And this is the distinction from what we've had in the market so far with really successful AI influencers that are mostly pretty pictures in nice settings. This one is mostly video. So the scripts are written by me, or I can pretend they're written by me, they're written by ChatGPT. But in any case, they're checked by me to ensure that they're accurate when I'm delivering educational content. Or if I'm trying to deliver advice on something that needs to be accurate to the institution, then this is all checked. So this then is adapted and to sound like a Gen Z Londoner. How can I do this? Can I get my kids to do it? I could, but they don't care. Don't care enough to help me, even though they're Gen Z Londoners, right? So I'm using AI tools to emulate the voice and style and patterns of a Gen Z student that lives in London. So all of this then is cooked with magical AI tools that I can give you more information on if you need it, and produced as these videos. The important thing about this is that it is accurate, the content and the quality is good, it's repeatable, it can scale. I was in a presentation earlier where we said, we keep whining about the resource limitations and all of that stuff, and sometimes we're using AI as a crutch to overcome these limitations. But, we should kind of man up and try to do the right thing with the students. This sounds great, but it ignores the reality of the resource limitations. If my budget is zero, my budget is zero. Okay? So I know that I'm not doing the right thing by cutting corners and using AI to create content for my students. I got no choice because zero budget. Okay? So it would be nice to say that we can kind of magically create resources, or we can get the money to hire people to do this the proper way, but we don't. So if we don't have the resource, then if we can attain the resource to use the AI tools and these can scale, then we can use these things at volume. And if we're trying to reach a global audience with tens of thousands of students participating in a program, then we can use these technologies way more effectively than employing hundreds of people to interact with these students. Now, I'm not saying it's ideal, but it is a solution in a resource-constrained situation. So the fact that this is a scalable technology, I think, is important. Now, I've used it in two ways. One of it is to break down heavy content, legal concepts and so on. She's got a bunch of videos explaining legal concepts. Yeah. So you will need to do this if your students are not responding to your content. If your lectures are too heavy going or too boring or too technical, if the reading material is too technical, you need something to break through. Using these technologies can break through, open up the concept, so then the student can receive the more detailed information. So this is one way in which it's used. The second way is to do other stuff that are associated with study, to help it for skills development, to help it for mental health support, to make things a little bit funnier and a little bit more accessible, so you can pass on messages that encourage engagement without being very upfront about it. I know it kind of feels weird to say you're going to talk about mental health and deliver this through an AI digital persona, but, you know, people are watching cartoons about this and it's fine. Yeah. Great. Now, obviously there are issues. Authenticity is a key issue, and there's a key ethical concern. Is it okay for an institution to pretend to be somebody? Is it okay for a middle-aged Greek dude to pretend to be a 20-year-old London girl in public? Yeah. Well, the answer is you need to be aware of the problem, and you need to be aware of the challenge, and you need to have a solution to it. The solution is transparency. She tells everybody, every opportunity she has, that she's a digital person, right? She never claimed to be a real person. The fantastic thing is that if you try and cheat people, people get pissed off and they won't watch it. If you say this is a digital product, everybody forgets it's a digital product and then interact. I'm getting comments by, you know, people asking Elsie out on dates, even though they know she's a digital product. But the commercial implications of this are amazing. So academic integrity is an issue. Do we cheapen ourselves by doing this? Does this make us non-serious? Is this going to backfire by the students thinking that this is silly and cause even further disengagement? There's a risk. I don't think so, but it is something to think about. So the idea was that ALSI is supposed to be a new channel for communication with the students in areas where we have difficulty. If your students are doing great and they're engaging with your VLE and they're turning up into classes, you don't need such gimmicks. But if you're having catastrophic attendance problems and nobody goes on to your VLE, then you need something to break through. Or if you're running something that wants to attract an outside the institution audience. If you want to reach a global audience because you're running a MOOC, for instance, this is not for a commercial product, right? Then this is an avenue of opening this up. So I'll be around so I can talk to you about the technology behind this. The costs can be fairly modest in comparison to hiring an actual person to be the university's brand and influencer. Trust me, this is way cheaper. So I think this is achievable. It is scalable. The results from usage suggest that it does work. And if you invest the time on it to run it properly for a long period of time, it's going to catch on. Maybe it's not going to be like the super influencers that are getting like a gazillion followers, but you're not after a gazillion followers. You're after determined audiences and groups of students. So this is perhaps one potential contribution to the problem of student engagement. It's not going to be the sole solution, but it is something that leverages new technologies in order to push us towards a better outcome. There are some references there if you want to. You're going to find those. You're going to find those slides. If you go to ALSI's channel by scanning the thing on the top, then on the video that I showed you, on the comments, there's a link that contains this presentation. So you can download the slides. If you want to know more about me in general and figure out whether I actually pretend to be a 20-year-old girl on Saturdays, then you can click the link at the bottom. Thank you.